My friends, today's gospel intermingles two miracle stories. In one, Jesus restored life to a 12-year-old girl. In another, he healed a woman who had been sick for 12 years. Now, if I were ranking these miracles as to which is the most difficult to help, I would say that it was easier to raise a little child back to life than to cure someone who had been ill for a long period of time. Now, I'd like to use that opinion to speak not of physical illness, but of spiritual illness. I want to speak not of the chronic condition of the body, but the chronic condition of the soul. Let's start by analyzing the problem. Now, for 12 years, this woman lived with the limitations of her affliction. I can see some parallels with spiritual problems that affect your life and my life. A sickness of the soul can become a chronic condition. Could you put your finger on any unhealthy spiritual condition that has remained with you year after year? Were you oversensitive, difficult to live with a dozen or so years ago? Look at your life today. Has any of that changed? Did you regret something that someone did to you or said about you a dozen or so years ago? Are you still carrying that same grudge today? 12 years ago, did you have an uncontrollable temper that brought unhappiness to your family and friends and dishonor to Christ? Is that temper under better control today? What is bad is not that we have these problems, we all do, but that we are willing to tolerate them year after year. The other thing is that if we just let them go, those problems just don't go away on themselves. Those problems get worse year after year. So I guess the question is this: what can be done about the chronic spiritual condition of our souls? You know, a wonderful thing about the woman in today's gospel is that she did not give up. Even after 12 long years, she was still trying. The gospel tells us that it was the persistence of her faith that caused her healing to actually occur. One thing that can be said about genuine faith is that it isn't lazy, it's active. To believe in the saving power of Christ doesn't mean that we just sit down and let him solve all of our problems on his own. The woman in the gospel made a positive effort to put herself in a position where Christ could meet her need. And that is the only kind of faith that can really make a difference, the kind that we act upon. Now let's just take that a step further. We become proficient in the art of Christian living, not by some kind of magic on behalf of Jesus, but because we work at it. We have a Christ-like character that never just happens, but it's something that takes practice and time, something we do day after day and year after year. So the next time something happens to you that irritates you, instead of losing your temper like you've done for years, why not exercise a little patience? Then do it again and again. Then you'll find yourself becoming proficient in the exercise of patience. The next time you encounter discouragement, instead of giving up and caving in, exercise a little courage. It was not the first crisis that we will encounter, and it won't be the last crisis. At the end of the story, the woman in the gospel found healing. Can Christ do that for our soul like he does for the body? Sometimes we Christians have our doubts. Nevertheless, I refuse to believe that Christ's power is adequate only in simple problems. I think the difference between recovery and regression lies right here within us. Are we serious about being whole and healthy people? Do we really want to be Christian in the highest sense of the word? We can. It will not be easy. It will take honest facts about ourselves. It will take the daily exercise of faith, and it will take time. Christ can truly heal our spiritual illness, even though we may have lived with that illness for years.